Welcome, everybody, to your WWE Survivor Series WarGames 2024 preview and predictions. Feel like it's been a really long time since we've done a preview and predictions, probably because it has been. It's been like 4 months since we've done one of these. And that's because WWE pay per views just haven't been hitting for us the way that they have in the past. The last preview predictions that we did was on August 3rd. So almost 4 months ago. It would be 4 months ago on December 3rd. But yeah, that was the last preview predictions that we did, and it was for SummerSlam. Obviously, SummerSlam was earlier than usual this year, but we have not done a preview prediction since then, and that's because we have not been overly moved by a WWE PLE since then. This show is looking like it's going to be a lot of fun, though. I think that we're a lot more excited about this one than we have been in a while. Also, just the fact that it is sort of like a big four, kind of got the vibe, got the atmosphere, got the aura going on here. John, I want to know your vibe though. How are you feeling about this show?
Man, I think this show, if I was to put a number grade to it, as you know I like to do, I would say I'm at a 7.5 out of 10 on the hype scale. I think women's war games is far and away the better matchup to me, even from a narrative standpoint. Because I mean, even the segment that we got tonight on SmackDown of the heel team, just reminding the babyface team of all the kind of inner conflicts within that group. So, the women's war games is forgetting its history, whereas Raw war games, they've acknowledged the history, sure, but on Roman's side, it's felt very tepid because it hasn't led to any meaningful character growth. So I think women's war games kind of carrying the show for me.
Hmm.
Hoping heel Nakamura wins the title. We'll see. Given that Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes is not happening on this show, but Saturday night's main event, December 14th, that match is really all that's been kind of on my mind WWE wise. But yeah, I mean, the rest of strategy, I mean, Gunther versus Priest, that could be like an underrated banger because I've really enjoyed how they've booked Priest. I have a few qualms with Gunther, but it is what it is. So yeah, when I really look at the card in aggregate, I think the War Games should be fun, but women's has the better story, so I've got more of an emotional investment going in. Gunther Priest should be good. And yeah, I think there's some other really cool stuff on the show. I mean, again, Darth Nakamura. And I think Sheamus versus Braun versus Ludwig for the IC title. That could be a really fun triple threat. So yeah, I'd say 7.5. I wouldn't go any higher than an 8, though. Anything higher than an 8 would seem disingenuous, but I'll stick to my 7.5. How are you feeling on the hype scale, friend?
Truthfully, I think an 8 is actually perfect to describe how I'm feeling. I think that's pretty much the exact number that I would assign to my hype level for the show. 8 out of 10. I'm right there with you. It's one of those things where War Games matches are always really interesting and sort of can be fun, just because I know that you and I do tend to kind of allow ourselves to like buy into the hype and just kind of allow ourselves to enjoy the moment as it's happening. But because this is preview predictions and because this is us kind of wearing our analytical caps, these matches are meaningless. War Games matches are meaningless. There's no stakes. There's no reason to win past wanting to win. Like it's literally just you want to prove that you're the better, fighters than the other team, or you're tougher than the other team. That's all it really comes down to. Roman wants to prove superiority over the Temu bloodline. Rhea and Bianca and Naomi and Io and Bailey really just want to get their hands on the other five women. I think that's honestly even more compelling than the bloodline storyline, because realistically, if Temu bloodline wins that match, nothing really happens. It's not like it's going to force Roman to acknowledge Solo. Roman could still just be like, "No, you're not the tribal chief. I am." What I really like about the women's war games, though, is that it's not meant to have stakes. It's not meant to be like, "Oh, well, if this team wins, then that." It's literally just like the babyface women want to kick the shit out of the heel women, and they're going to get locked into cages together, and they're going to get an opportunity to. And I think that's cool.
Well said, friend.
Yeah, I think that's neato, and I'm rooting for them. I'm really hoping that there aren't any of the babyface women doing a betrayal in that match, because that would be kind of tragic.
I would. I agree. We don't need to betray each other. There are other ways. You could try open dialogue like the New Day, because that worked out so well for them on Monday. But then again, we don't know. We don't know. Maybe they will heal. But yes, let us get to our Survivor Series card. I mean, God, if we're being honest, like again, this Survivor Series, it won't be trash or anything, but just when you think about what we have coming down the pipe, I mean, me personally, again, Kevin Cody, Saturday Night's Main Event, but even tomorrow night on Raw, you're going to get like the next huge development in the New Day angle. Like that's pretty compelling TV. But Survivor Series comes before that, so let's talk about it. What match do you want to talk about first?
Well, I actually wanted to throw it over to you and ask you, do you think that we should be really talking about the War Games matches last, since that is kind of the name of the show, like what we do with other shows with names based on matches?
True, yeah, we'll save them for last. We'll abide by the rule.
Okay, in that case, then we should probably talk about the mid card titles first, and then once we get through those two matches, we'll talk about the world title, and then we'll do the War Games last. So, which mid card title would you rather talk about first, US or IC?
I think even though I love Braun Breaker to death and I have immense respect for Sheamus, I do think we're all more emotionally invested in US because of Nakamura.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the IC first.
Okay. All right. Um, I'm gonna be totally truthful with you, man. I really just think that this is as simple as Braun retains.
Same. Yeah, I think he pins Kaiser because I think that actually no. No, I see him pinning Sheamus actually, because for one thing, Kaiser is the more up and coming talent. And even though Braun, I don't think is an out and out face yet, like he's kind of walking that tweener line. Kaiser, I think, is a perfect heel opponent. They given we know how Braun can comically mock him and just what a little shit he is like on the mic. That spear that he eats will be a huge pop. So I think Breaker pins Sheamus and then he breaks off into a singles program with Kaiser. So it's gonna
All
be my
right.
prediction.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Um, I even though I am picking Braun to retain, I'm definitely going to be rooting for Sheamus in this match because I know we're going to be reacting to it, and for us to capture a reaction to Sheamus winning his first ever IC title would be sort of majestic. I would love that.
Indeed. Not as majestic as your face, though, but I do agree.
Plus, it would honestly, in my opinion, it would just be kind of similar to Jey Uso's title win, where it would be like, okay, we got that out of the way, and then we're gonna just put it right back on Braun. Like Braun just
Yeah.
has this long, this really big long IC title reign that just keeps getting interrupted by people finally getting their nut.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
really.
Jay finally gets his big singles win. Sheamus finally completes his collection, and all of it is just like interrupting Braun Breaker's long singles title reign. That isn't really just one long singles title reign because it's just several over the course of time because they keep getting broken up.
Yes.
Oh, poor Bronathan.
Yeah, Bronathan's got it rough.
Yeah, he's like a baby pit bull, man. He's working on that bite. He's working on that bite. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then, since we agree on Breaker just retaining. LA Knight, the first defending the U.S. title against Nakamura. I fully acknowledge that there is a very strong chance that LA Knight retains here, but I really don't want that to happen. I am fully in on Nakamura winning here. The presentation is incredible. Nakamura's return was received incredibly well. I just think Nakamura just needs to win. Honestly, this was so good. He even just tonight, he's amazing.
Yeah. Look, if I'm being sincere, of course I want Nakamura to win. I think the presentation's been impeccable. I think LA Knight. I don't even know, man, because I've even seen like people have uploaded clips like, "Oh, remember when LA Knight used to do this?" And I've never liked him as a worker, but I can see what they mean when you see the stuff he does in TNA. He moves so slow, he's so awkward. He ain't getting any younger. Like I know they want him to be like a big thing, and even DDP went to bat for him because DDP was kind of a late bloomer in the main event scene. But the thing is, Dallas, I feel like you were a lot more talented then than LA Knight is now. All of that being said, while I think Nakamura would be the right call for a litany of reasons, I think WWE is still so committed to how over LA Knight is, and the crowds don't make it easy for them. To be fair, so I think LA Knight just overcomes this heel. I'm gonna pick LA Knight to retain.
Totally agreeable. I would definitely be annoyed, but I would also not be surprised because WWE really just like they really do just seem fully committed to this reign. But man, it just feels different this time to me. It really does. It just feels different. It feels like LA Knights. kind of met his match. It feels like the incoming heel actually has more momentum than LA Knight, which I've never been able to say before during this current reign of his. So
Yeah,
just, you know, Vibes haven't exactly had the best track record when it comes to predicting things this year, but
yeah,
just going by vibes, this feels like it feels like the one. This feels like the time that it's time to take that title off of LA Knight. So we'll see. Now it's time to get to the world title though. Gunta versus Damian Priest. I'm I know that Priest has been doing a great job, but I really hate that they're trying to humanize Gunta because he lost to Cody Rhodes, and I know that you feel the exact same way.
yes.
Um, he just has to win. Like there's no other option but for him to just win here.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say when you've already said it so well? Yeah, I just think Gunther retains. I don't know if there's gonna be like Finn shenanigans because we know he's really incensed. Like we cannot have Priest become the world champion.
Nice
And
accent. Great job.
yeah, thanks. And yeah, I don't know if there's gonna be shenanigans. If Gunther would even keep those shenanigans at bay. I don't know, man, but I do think he's just retaining the world title. Ain't no way he's dropping that until at least SummerSlam, in my opinion. Excuse me, until at least WrestleMania, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Let's I guess just get into the War Games matches then. First War Games match you want to talk about? I'll leave it up to you.
Oh, do you agree with me that women's is the better like built one, like narratively? Or
I have a hard time deciding, so at that point I would just default to your opinion and say sure.
so we're right back where we started. Yeah, because I was gonna say we could talk about women's war games last. Cause I just feel more emotional investment with that match.
And the fact that you feel more emotional investment in that match and I feel equally emotionally invested in both matches means that we as a team are more emotionally invested in the women's. So we should talk about the men's first.
Yeah. All right. So with men's,
Cumulatively, that kind of thing.
yeah. So with the men's, it's OG Bloodline plus CM Punk because of course it is versus Solo's Bloodline, which I'm warming up to more and more each week. You better win this match, Roman, and remind me how cool your bloodline is. Yo, bro, what's up? I didn't think you'd be here for this. Holy shit. Um,
Oh,
so
Angel's
yeah,
here. Yeah, nice. Hi,
yeah,
Angel.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they better win this match and remind me how cool OG Bloodline is with, I mean, Felonious in the ring. Good luck,
Fildred.
because Solo's Bloodline with his Carlton Banks energy ass, with his fucking facial
That is
expressions and
so
whatever.
true.
It's really winning me over. It's very endearing. And Jacob, I mean, he beat the shit out of Jey Uso like he was Jimmy Uso. It was wild. So yeah, I mean, Solo's bloodline is growing on me. So OG bloodline needs to get its shit together. Fortunately for them, I think they will in this matchup because I think the narrative thread that they want to take off from this is what was the favor CM Punk wanted from Paul Heyman? And is
Did you
Roman
just get
Reigns.
really close to your mic because you're peaking like crazy?
I apologize. If I did, it wasn't really thinking about it. But no, I think the narrative thread that they're going to want to jump off of from this match is just the idea that Paul Heyman promised CM Punk a favor,
Right.
and then it's going to be, well, they won. Punk can very much collect on that favor. What is it? Is Roman Reigns going to snarl quietly about it? I mean, probably. So I think for that reason, I'm just going to go OG Bloodline to win,
Oh,
unfortunately, even though Solo's Bloodline should win just for Jacob Fatu alone.
interesting. Interesting. Um, I am going to take somewhat of a foolish moral stand here
Yes.
and say that I don't think that Roman Reigns should beat Temu Bloodline until he learns his fucking lesson.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. He can't keep getting away with it, you know?
No,
Like,
he can't because frankly, his entire team is held together by duct tape and bubble gum. Like this is not sustainable. You can't just keep having your opponents fucking I don't know how to even phrase it. Like your opponents have solidarity, your opponents have chemistry, your opponents have each other's backs, and your entire team is literally only together because they hate your opponents. They also hate each other though, so that's a problem. Like, there's no solidarity here. There's no real brotherhood or brothership or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, these guys aren't in it for each other. They're in it for themselves and for revenge, and that's not a sustainable model for success. So like, yeah, I Solo and Jacob beat Roman and Cody at Bad Blood, and Solo and I forget who he teamed with beat Roman and the Usos in Saudi. And frankly, I think that Solo's bloodline should beat them again at this show, because I think that Solo's bloodline should just fucking keep beating Roman until Roman fucking apologizes, because Roman has refused to make any attempt at all to make amends for all of the harm that he caused over the 3.5 years that he literally reigned supreme over the entire roster. Like, Kevin Owens, even tonight on SmackDown, showed highlights or lowlights, I guess you could say, of the shit that Roman's bloodline did to him and the hell that they put him through in 2021 and in 2023 on several occasions, throwing him off the fucking Thunderdome rafters or whatever the hell you want to call them, running him over with a golf cart, super kick party, and then, basically threatening Sami Zayn if he didn't hit him with a chair, and then kicking Sami Zayn out and beating the shit out of him when he refused to. Like, everything. Like, I, how is Sami Zayn back with them? Like, that's ridiculous to me. I hate the way that this has been handled, and the only way for it to not suck is if Roman just keeps on getting pounded by this team until he sees the error of his ways. And I don't think they're going to do that, which, because this is preview predictions, I should say I do actually expect the Roman team to win. But out of sheer principle, I have to pick Solo, because the only correct decision here, given what's been booked and written on TV, is for Team Solo to keep winning until Roman fucking learns. That's all I can say.
First of all, as far as that moral exposition goes, in the words of John Cena, fine speech.
Nice.
But 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 we can't just focus on the morality of it. I mean, on the one hand, you have Solo, who's finally getting it together, and who I'm really starting to vibe with. Tama Tonga, kind of the odd guy out, but him and Tongolo together as a team, they're
Dude,
definitely money. And then,
Tamatonga's fucking hilarious.
yeah. Then you have Bronson Reed, who exists, and then you have Jacob Fatu, who can do an impeccable moonsault. Meanwhile, let's take a look at Roman Reigns. It has Jimmy Uso on it. They're fucked. It's so over. Or at least it should be, because the closest relationship in that match is Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. And if Jimmy's thinking, but wait a minute, that's my twin. Fuck you, Jimmy. Nobody has to. So yeah, Sammy and Jay are the closest relationship in there, and everybody else is just, again, like you said, ego-driven and opportunistic. And yet, think about the culture we're in. What's winning? The egotism and the opportunity-driven people. So since WWE has chosen to imitate life, that's why the worst team is going to win, because the worst team won for us recently too. So, art imitating life. And it's really a shame, because I want Jacob to win his first WarGames, but I'm increasingly losing hope that that's going to happen. So we'll see.
Jacob definitely should win his first War Games.
He should. That would be so great.
It would be.
All right. So now do we talk about women's?
Sure, let's talk about women's.
Who was it in our Discord that came up with, or pointed out that it was interesting that Meechin won the triple threat that Jade was supposed to be in? And was it Dom kind of putting that thread together?
Yes, it was Dominique.
I'll tell you, that's why he's the superior Dom. I mean, that really just makes sense to me. And so I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. But yeah, here's my thing. I obviously don't think Liv and Raquel took out Jade, because I feel like every assault that Liv and Raquel have perpetrated, the camera has let us know quite deliberately, hey, Liv and Raquel perpetrated this assault. So yeah, they're definitely veiling it. I think Michin would be a very interesting twist, and I just wanted to say really quick about that. Because and this does tie back to War Games because Jade was supposed to be in this
Mm.
War Games match and Bailey took her place. I think that's too obvious and on the nose. I will say though, if it is Michin, you have the opportunity to do something amazing come Saturday night's main event and like have a double turn style match between Michin and Chelsea for the fucking title. Because Chelsea, I think, is already so beloved by people. Her turning babyface wouldn't be that hard. Michin turning heel, it's also kind of a hard sell, admittedly, to me, but I think they could pull it off. So just something to think about because I really like Dom's idea. Now, when it comes to this women's War Games, I like that we have Bailey and Io in here, and I feel like this is more organically done, than Roman's team kind of coming together because it's not really about Io, nor is it really about Bailey, but Io is the number one contender for Liv's title after winning the Battle Royal, and I think she saw a chance to stick it to Liv, especially because Liv and Raquel have been giving shit to her and Kyrie. And for Bailey, it's just again about Nia Jax and Candice LeRae and people like that. So, again, common enemies, but organically done here. Because they don't have a pretense of like forgiveness or anything else. Naomi is awesome. Really been loving her work as of late. Let's see. So that's Bailey, Io. I talked about Naomi. Who are the other two big? Oh, Bianca, of course. God, I wish when she was more at like the fucking center stage of the division because she still feels very credible, but she also feels kind of there. She's in a weird spot right now. Yeah, I think she'll be great in it. I'd love to see some crazy spots from her. Maybe a fucking 450 off the cage. That'd be fucking wild. And Rhea, of course. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't take her out of this match again, and they're gonna have her do the face guard thing. But really, I think the best bet here would be that she just pins Liv Morgan in this match and gets back in the title hunt for a championship that she already should have regained by now. And then you've got the heel team. Cool that Candice has something to do now that Indy's gone. Really can't wait to see what dates Indy starts picking up because I'm still subscribed to her YouTube channel and just nothing about that has come up yet. So good for Candice. Liv, I think, has been a great champion. Raquel might be the worst worker in this match to me, at least as far as like where she is right now, because like even
I mean,
Tiffany, I
yeah,
think, has
dude,
gotten it together for her
Raquel
push and
is
everything.
the worst worker in this match by a country mile.
Yeah, and even Nia has shown some improvement since our first run. So yeah,
I was
like
gonna say,
Raquel,
and that's not even me like trying to give credit to everyone else in this match because there are quite a few mediocre and worse workers in this match, and you mentioned probably the next two worst in Tiffany and Nia, but
yeah,
like Raquel's just bad.
yeah.
Raquel
So
does
that's
one thing well, and that's be strong.
yeah, be strong and end of list.
Yeah, that's the end. Just fin.
So yeah, I mean that team has got its stuff. I mean, here's a crazy idea because they tried to do it last year but they faked it out. So maybe they could even genuinely do it this year, which would be nuts. Do we think that there's going to be a cash in during War Games?
No,
No. I think it'd be cool if they did it, but I'm also going to put that on the no side. But I could see Nia and Tiffany having some kind of a collision. I think Liv and Raquel are obviously going to be fine. So really, I could also see just Nia and Liv going at it because Liv beat Nia at Crown Jewel for the Crown Jewel Women's Championship. And she might just feel like she's just the superior champion overall. So there are threads coming out there. Again, I think the big thing here is I think Rhea needs to pin Liv to get back in that title picture. Um, because I think that would really it protects Nia if they don't want her taking a pin, just given how imposing she is. It furthers the story between Rhea and Liv. And yeah, I really just don't see any downside. So I'm gonna predict the babyface women do win, but I'm
I am gonna
hoping that it's
just
via Rhea pin Liv.
yeah. Babyface teams winning, which also furthers my narrative that Team Solo is gonna win because it seems pretty unlikely that both babyface teams would win War Games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think the babyface women's team is gonna win. But I have Io pinning Liv, not Rhea.
Because we know that Io's the next most immediate contender.
Exactly. So there's really
Uh,
nothing lost there because we know that Io has a title shot already, and it just kind of doubles down and reminds people like, oh yeah, she's challenging Liv for that title, and she just pinned her. Like she could potentially beat her.
yeah. Yeah, I could see it. Man, Io's gonna do her crazy war game shit. That's going to be amazing. I do wonder again, because sometimes in the War Games cage, in fact, quite a few times in the War Games cage, I feel like you see relationships develop throughout the matchup. Like last year, or it might have been, it was 2022, I think it was, or was it 2023? But yeah, when the Bloodline War Games against Kevin Owens' team, and how the two relationships that got fleshed out in that match, really, you could argue three, were Sammy Kevin for that whole thing.
That would have been
Sammy and
2022.
Okay, it was 2022. Okay. Sammy and Roman, because Roman, is kind of seeing him really as an asset for the first time. And the biggest relationship of all, Sammy and Jay, because Sammy was trying to win Jay's trust the whole matchup. And then that plays perfectly into the finish because he gives Jay the pin. Years before that, there was a women's war games where Becky and Charlotte had to work together. And there's a moment that actually got a nice pop in the crowd where they hugged it out in the war games cage. I feel like relationships can play out in this matchup. So I say that to say I'm really curious how Io and Bailey, how their relationship is going to kind of transform through the course of this match, and also other dynamics as well. Again, Tiffany Naya being another one, Bailey and Naomi, Bailey and Bianca. It's going to be
Yeah,
very
Bailey
interesting.
is definitely a monkey wrench on this team.
Oh, for sure, because she's got the most strained relationships, and then poor Naomi is kind of in the middle because she likes everybody. But yeah, I think even from a
Naomi is
relationship.
the glue that holds the team together.
Yeah. Yeah, like whereas with men's war games, it's not that there aren't interesting relationships in there. I mean, again, Jay and Jimmy, Jay and Roman. For one thing, though, I wish they would have stressed those relationships more because I feel like that would be far more fascinating if, like, again, it was an enemies thing, but you actually still had tension within the group. They still feel so united right now over the enemy thing that I don't know. Again, I just like how women's war games is doing it better. And so yeah, I'm very curious how those relationships are going to play out. And I think talking about it, I will stick with my 7.5 hype rating, but I'm curious where you're at.
I'm gonna also stick with my 8.
All right, well, guys, that was preview and predictions for Survivor Series War Games. It's going to be live tomorrow at 6 p.m. I'm thinking it'll just be the kickoff, but I know Ashley
No,
and I
dude,
will
I
stay
found out
with.
today that kickoff's at 4.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we will be live at 6 then. We're going to be giving wall to wall coverage of the show, reacting to the whole thing. We'll see who emerges from War Games victorious. And yeah, I guess with that said, leave a like if you file out, subscribe with the bell icon for notifications so you miss any of that 12 well goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow Ashton on Blue Sky and us on Twitch. And yeah, we will see you guys tomorrow at 6 for Survivor Series live reactions. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Tune in and peace out.